getting kind of precarious up here. And all for the start of this video. Right, okay, I think we're okay. I will probably fall off. Okay, we are here. Hey guys, it's Total Eclipse, and today I thought I'd do a video on Satisfactory. Now it is the first of many. I've really fallen in love with this game. I find it so fun. I just love logistical planning. So here today we have a guide on about 12 rules, I'd say, on advanced building tips for Satisfactory, things I'd wished I'd known when I started this factory, and things that I've started to implement in my other factories. Now the first one, let's try and get down safely from here. Give me 2 seconds. Now the first rule that I would say above all other things, just because this is the one that's caused me the most frustration, although it does tie into other things, is to have one specific location for each item. So as you can see, rods are going into here, and they're actually going into these. And then we also have rubber cables. All these cables, fantastic idea. Only thing is, I didn't do this to start off with. I thought it would be fantastic to have all items fed into one area, and then they could be removed from said location. But the problem is, as you can see here, this is an alpha phase game. These things aren't fully fleshed out, so I can't actually withdraw these on a conveyor belt without withdrawing every single item. Now it might be an idea for them to add a little button where you can say withdraw all you can just pull this over here, and then the items in that box will be the ones withdrawn from this area. That would be fantastic. They don't have that. And so if I put a conveyor onto here, leading to a constructor, yes, maybe it would work with the rods first to create nails, but then once it's gone through all this, it's going to withdraw the wires, which are going to jam up the factory altogether. Plan your factories in advance. This isn't a bad view, but I had no idea what I was doing. This was my very first base, hence the HQ here. Nothing's really in line, and it's become a bit of a spaghetti junction of items being sent around conveyors and then sent to other locations. It's not very well planned out, and you really do want to be planning these things in advance. And you can see that in my other factory later on, how I'll run up one of the observation turrets and cut it in just so that you can see what I'm talking about. But it's really important to try and plan everything in advance. The third rule, moving on, is actually to use foundations. Now here we are, this is my other main factory. Well, it's a collection of factories really, and I was saying how you should use concrete for everything for organisation, and it's because it just makes everything look, one, so much more organised, but also it's so much more easier to work with, and you're not going to have things like mismatched. I hate it when you have what looks like it'll fit perfectly and then you can't actually connect something together. Here we are. I managed to get up there for you guys, but now you should be able to see how everything is so much more organized, everything's in line, and that's all because of, well, the second rule, which was planning in advance. This is what I wanted to show you, how I have smelters that I planned to go to each two constructors each, and then from them they go into the separate. That I had planned all in advance to make these three things and this assembler come together, which I'm eventually going to feed over into that. And the other reason why it works so well is because of the foundations. It makes everything so much more easier to work with. So we are on tip number 4, which is automating everything. You can't really see much here. I mean, it's all automated in the fact that it's all being the mines are mining the resource here, and it's all being fed through to these and then sent, which is all being powered by my coal power plant over there, which if we go over there, there's no tractor here at the moment, but my tractors, I have one coal area which brings the coal into here, which then gets transported up into the coal power power plant area, as you can see here, which powers all my factories. Now I will mention I've only got one coal mine currently, which is more than sustaining all of my factory output in both here and the other place. So you don't need tons of coal mines to do this. Just plant one and then start developing your factory from there. Which brings me to the next point, which is tip number 5, which is to fast track the coal research tree as fast as possible. The reason for that is because you can automate everything. I wanted to show you here, but the tractor isn't here. The coal tractor comes and drops coal off here, which then, once this is put in here, using splitters, we are able to transport coal over to the power plant and then have it resent over into the fuel area, so that all my vehicles that are running these operations for me can maintain themselves fully fueled. By just pulling. Oh wait, here we go. We need to get out the way. So this one is transporting more coal into the area, and it's going to get refueled while it's doing that, which is also managing to fuel all my power plants, which fuels my factory. So it's really important to work on your automation as soon as possible, and then once you've got coal, you can then work on oil refining, which we're doing here, and creating fuel so that you can run your vehicles on petrol, for example. And this ties into my 6th tip and 7th tip, which we just talked about here. One coal power mine. Oh, I need to sort that out. One coal mine can provide for a huge amount of places. So you just build one area specifically for mining coal, and then you branch out from there. And as I mentioned with that truck stop, tip number 7 is to loop coal round, or whatever power, fuel resources you have in your truck stops, to self-refuel your vehicles. Let's just ram this guy. Oh no, he's got it now. Now, tip number 8, set each factory to build a specific item. So as you can see here, this is my concrete area. If I want, yeah, we might as well do it. If I want, I can just pull into here, and I will collect all the concrete, like a ridiculous amount of concrete, for building. Oh, actually, I shouldn't have done that, simply because now whenever I pull up into that station to refuel this particular truck, I'm going to have concrete placed into the machine. Oh well, that's a problem for another day. As you can see, this creates all the concrete here. Over here we're doing the petroleum and petrol refining. Still working on this. Over in the far factory over there, we have all our advanced items being made. So that's like the motors, soon to be computers as well. So for each location I have a specific item, and then it all gets transported to the right location, whether that's through these or through conveyor belts, which I'm working on at the moment. That brings me on to the next one as well. Make sure that each factory has a beacon. It's going to save you from getting lost. I have actually lost a coal mine area that I was working on and forgot to put a beacon down. But it just means that you're going to find everything really easily, and it's going to be really easy to organize. The next thing, tip number 10, is to stack your conveyors. So it's quite cramped in here, I'm not going to lie. But as you can see, all our items are stacked so that we can send, at the moment we're sending 4 different conveyors through, 2 going in, 2 coming out, transporting petroleum and electronics? What are you? Plastics, sorry. All the way to the other factory to be formed into something else. And then we also have our rotors and modular frames being sent over here, should I need it. It just makes everything look a lot more neater. You could also put in here another, at least 2 I'd say, conveyor stackers. It won't look perfect and neat, that's the reason why I haven't done it, but you can actually run conveyors over this line and also that one over there. The reason I haven't done it, I'm a bit of an OCD freak sometimes, and now I'm stuck in here. An OCD freak, and like to have everything neat, but because there's no clipping problem, well, there are clipping problems, you can actually have another conveyor belt running through other items and other conveyors. So you can do that. And then my tip number 11, we're going to have to go back to the other factory for this one. So bear with me 2 seconds. So the next point that I wanted to talk about, which kind of relates here, is if you're building everything in one location. This wasn't planned for me originally, but it's kind of worked out that way. You're going to want to make sure that you're building in tiers. So what I mean by this is to have all your raw resources set to the first level or the last level. I didn't really follow this, which is why I know to do it next time. It's to have everything sent to one location, and from there, say for example, have on this floor all your smelters, which then transports all of your secondary items, like all the iron or all the copper bars up to here to be produced into something else. I've actually kind of followed it here. This is where I started to think about that. As you can see, I've got plates and rods being made, and then the rods into nails, screws, which are then being transported to the next level above, to go to these assemblers to create the next tier level item, which is reinforced plates, which I think we're jam-packed on at the moment, to be honest. Yeah, we've got a bit of a backlog because we've run out of screws downstairs. But then everything gets brought back down to another section. So this here is being looped back around to this location, which is where I'm building my rotors and modular frames. And so all the items that are produced from what should have been the tier below, although I've moved everything back down here, then gets moved into these, which then gets transported into here, and then everything gets fed all the way back to a location which is next to my hub, or the space elevator, depending on how far in the game. But everything is sent down here. Here would be reinforced plates, modular frames, sorry. This is reinforced plates, but it's in use, so there's nothing in there. We've got the rotors being sent here, concrete here, spare plates being sent here. Everything is sent here so that I can grab it and then head to my hub, which is just next door, to do any of these spare milestones. Oh no, there is one more. There is one more which I haven't spoken about. Because again, I haven't kind of done this one here, but it's important to know, to tell you guys so that you guys don't make the same mistake. This is an alpha game, which means there are going to be constant updates over the near future, long-term future, including mod support and other things in game. The one that I'm most looking forward to at the moment is trains. Now, I highly recommend, if you're building all these massive factories, you plan for things like the train infrastructure in advance so that you can you don't need to break everything down or have everything transported away from your factory only to be brought into the factory. So I do recommend thinking about that, just planning for future possible game implementations. So for example, you might want 2 or 3 reinforced plates, foundations worth of space, just to have a train track running through for the train to stop and collect said items. For example, it's going to be pretty easy for me because I'm just going to break down the space elevator, and I'm probably going to put that on some foundations itself and then run it connecting to the train station over there to those conveyor belt points. So do think about that. Anyway guys, that's all we really have time for in this video. I do want to try and keep this video to a minimum, as I know it can drag quite easily, so I will leave it there. But as I said before, we are going to have loads more videos on this, loads more guides. I am really enjoying this, so if you do enjoy these videos, please like them. If you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. And this was not exhaustive. If you guys have some budding tips for advanced build guides, I am dying to hear them, so do write them in the comment section below so that I know what's something I could possibly do to help improve my somewhat almost satisfactory build. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. Anyway, until next time, ciao for now.